Most agency owners think paying employees more will kill their margin, but today's guest believes the opposite and has built and sold multiple agencies proving it. Nick Avaria started by fixing broken agencies after leaving a $100 million company. What began as consulting turned into running teams, acquiring struggling agencies, and scaling them using one core belief. The fastest way to grow profit isn't better tactics, it's better paid people. I'm Ryan Atkinson, and you're listening to the Help the Podcast, where we uncover the secret to building and running successful businesses. And I am so excited to welcome Nick here today to talk about how you can scale an agency to $1 million by paying above market. It actually increases profits and so much more. So Nick, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. And if someone's hearing you for the first time, like, okay, who is this Nick guy? Give us a quick 30-second background just so people can understand you a little bit more. Then we're going to dive into all of the good stuff.
Totally. So quick 30-seconder. I'm a guy that actually started kind of in almost like an internal management consulting role in this really large industrial services business. I was working directly with the vice president of sales and marketing, the COO, CFO, etc. And we ended up doing a bunch of mergers and acquisitions in that space. So learned to analyze business real well. Fast forward a few years, because I did a bunch of entrepreneurship between then an agency. Grew my own agency, sold part of it, became part of another one. We did a bunch of M&A there, left that agency, went on to found my second agency that was solo, did some acquisition there as well. And basically what my whole takeaway has been time and time again is exactly the intro, pay people more to get out of the day-to-day business. My core belief that agencies I love them because they are places where having a good culture and treating people well is a requirement. And I really like that about agencies. Having come from the industrial services background, it's really rough around the edges. People aren't kind to each other. And agencies is just a much nicer place to be. And I want to work with nice people.
I like it. Let's actually dive into first about paying people above market. Why does that actually help people instead of killing margins? Because I would hear, paying someone $100,000 instead of $60,000. I mean, that takes $40,000 away from profit. So, push back on me there. How is that actually going to increase profits for someone that's listening?
First of all, there's a second element that maybe that's the second thing we talk about, but it forces you to charge more for your services to be able to afford the person in the first place, which is, in my opinion, not the wrong thing. So we could talk about why that's the right thing later. But ultimately, the other benefits of this is well, how much management do you need to give somebody that you pay $60,000 to versus $100? And how much supervision does $100K per year person need versus $150 or $2 or $3? And you start figuring out pretty quick that the curve, if you think about this on a curve, the amount of time that people need for you to invest in them to actually get them to produce outsized outcomes, revenue profitability wise, as you go up the ladder of how much you pay, the amount of time falls, but not in a linear fashion. It's actually way faster than that, right? So somebody that you pay $200K a year versus somebody that you pay $50K a year, do you manage that $50K a person per year 4 times as much as the $200K person per year? It's no, you probably manage them even less. Not only that, but they're probably telling you what to do. So they're actually inverse managing you. It's they're actually telling you what to do and saving you time rather than, you having to burn the midnight oil because this person at $50K a year screwed up and now you need to salvage the work. And now you stop selling because you got to fix the work. And now you're kind of caught in this eternal put out fires place and on the hamster wheel, and you're getting nowhere fast.
Talk to me about this though. So someone's going to start an agency from ground zero. Obviously the fact you're going to have to do some stuff, early on, but hire 1 or 2. Are you saying someone should be going after that $200K person opposed to a $50K person, or is there kind of steps you need to get there?
So the answer is it depends. Okay. This almost touches into the second point around maximizing dollar per hour. Look, if you're good at what you do, and because this is why you open an agency, right? You open an agency because you're good at something, and you should be probably not just good, you should probably be exceptional. The fastest way to become a highly scalable business is to start it off the opposite, meaning non-scalable. What does that mean? That means that you are the product and you are the delivery mechanism of that product for as long as possible. This is where people get this wrong, though. They price their services in a way where it's okay, well, if I were to hire somebody else, I can still charge this amount. And that's the wrong way of thinking about it. The first thing you need to do is just push up the price as much as possible because you should be exceptional, meaning like you do better work than the majority of the market. Therefore, if the majority of the market is charging $3K a month or $5K a month, or depends on the service mix that you have, you should be charging well above that. And the reason that people are going to pay you that is because you have a certain reputation around like being great at what it is that you do. The ultimate truth of how much you can charge for the services of an agency, it's fundamentally anchored to that founder and what they can do. Let me give you an example. I've worked with agency owners that for their own time, if you want them on a call to consult, etc., it's anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 USD per hour, right?
Wow.
What they charge for their own agency's time, like meaning like, hey, like somebody that I trained, etc., it's $300 an hour. And they get it because it's anchored to the fact that they charge $2,000 an hour. Now, if, for example, the founder charges $500 an hour or maybe even like $300 an hour, why would somebody else pay the person beneath you $200? You know what I mean? And the relationship isn't one-to-one. So it's not like, oh, you know, whatever the founder charges, you can charge like 30% or whatever. It's not how it works. There's a diminishing returns thing that goes on. But at the beginning, when you're trying to launch, your first order of business is charge as much as possible to create the margin so that therefore you can hire somebody that maybe isn't 200K, but is somebody that is so independent that when you hire them, they require very little of your management and you can teach them how you do things. Now, are you going to be able to charge as much for what they do versus you doing it? No, but it's still going to be ideally above market of what everybody else does. And like, you basically have to create the margin room to do this. And this is the number one way that I know how to do it.
Yeah. I want to talk about like pushing pricing up because it's something that we're dealing with our own agency where like we had packages of like 12,000, 14,000, 16,000. And like our win rate was like 50% on like a 16K package. Like it was absurd. I was like, well, we just can't keep doing that. So our new pricing is like 14K, 19K, and 24K. So they went up slightly. Close rates are starting to like definitely fall on that. But like, how do you measure pricing? And if you're like pricing too high or like not pricing enough, like what metrics are you looking at? Like what advice would you have for me on that? Because that's something we're currently.
Like, look, I have this like I call it like the 30-30 rule, right? And when you're getting into prices like you're talking about, like the half of the 30 is probably taken care of really well. And the other 30, maybe, I don't know, based off your current increase. So the 30-30 rule is simple. Is the product and service that you're delivering 30% delivery cost, meaning like 70% margin after like direct cost? So like your direct cost to deliver that thing is 30% or less. That's the first half of the 30-30 rule. At those prices, you can definitely massage the hours, etc., to like get there. And if you can't, like you have an operational problem at that point. So like you got to figure that out. Okay. The other half of the 30-30 rule is close percentage. So, like you said, we were closing 50%. So I pushed prices up. That is actually the 30-30 rule in action. If your close rate is between 30 and 40%, once you get to like the north side of that range, like 35% plus, it may be time to increase prices. Like for me, if I see like a 40% close rate, I'm like, yeah, price increase time. Like, here we go. Because especially like if you have like a reasonable pipeline, right? Like if you have a few leads, like you don't need like, you know, hundreds of leads a month or anything, but like even if you have like 10 leads a month and you're closing, you know, of the sales qualified ones. And by the way, there's an important distinction. This is 30% close rate of sales qualified leads, not marketing qualified leads. So like if you get 20 leads and then you're like, oh, I'm only closing 25%, but your sales qualified leads are like half of that or less. It's based off of sales qualified leads in terms of divisor. So like if you're closing, you know, 5 of 10 sales qualified leads, that's 50%. Like you have to push your prices up and you keep doing that until you hit like 30-35%. Like that's the math.
Are you ready to launch, grow, and scale a business? Inside the Upflip Academy, you'll get a complete roadmap to shortcut your success with 25 plus step-by-step programs taught by active business owners, not gurus, who share their step-by-step blueprints, plus ongoing live workshops, skills training, a business idea database, and community to share resources and celebrate your wins. Click the link in the description below to join the Upflip Academy today and start surrounding yourself with the people and tools that can change everything for your business.
I'm literally working through this today. I'm talking to my co-founder literally in an hour. Like, this is not a joke. That's what like the close rates that like I'm gonna like I want to be around like that 25 to 30%, but hit on the marketing qualified leads and the sales qualified lead a little bit deeper, because I know pretty well what you're saying, but our audience might. What is the true distinction of it? Because I love that you're saying that. Is literally how I was thinking about it today. So I love that you said that.
The marketing qualified leads are mean like any lead that comes your way, right? One way or another. Like if it's inbound, if it's outbound, like it changes in definition a bit. Like, I mean, like it's not technically a marketing qualified lead at that point. It's more like an interested party. But if it's inbound, marketing qualified lead is every single lead. The sales qualified leads are people that follow your ideal client profile, like your ICP, and that have needs. So like ICP is not enough. And like, look, a lot of people get their sales qualified leads definition wrong. They're like, oh, this person's like part of target audience. It's like, but do they have need? Do they have budget? Like, there's more than one element to this. And so your sales qualified criteria should be pretty tight. And like why people generally loosen the sales qualified criteria is because they look at their marketing funnel and they say, oh, well, only 20% of our leads are sales qualified. Like, let's expand what sales qualified means so that we don't feel bad about the fact that only 2 in 10 leads are viable. But guess what? Like, it depends on your funnel. Like, if you have like a very content and personal brand focused funnel, yeah, you're going to get like sales qualified leads at a much higher rate. But if you're doing like YouTube ads and like Facebook ads and like things that are a lot colder in general, 10 to 30% is sort of like the average that I've seen across like multiple agencies.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So we're like a video marketing agency. And so obviously I didn't reinvent the wheel here. Like we do like product demos, like explainer videos, like those types of videos. So I would say like our goal every month is to book like, honestly, like 40 meetings like a month. And like we can like hit that like actually pretty well. But like what percentage of that do you think should actually be like a sales qualified? Is that 10 to 30% then? Or break that down for me. And yeah.
Oh, if you're 10 to 30%, yeah. I mean, like, but by the way, like, it depends on how you get the leads. So, like, so to me, like, for example, like, if it's a personal brand that's generating the leads, it's like your sales qualified should probably be like, I mean, truly anywhere between like 30 and 50%. It's just naturally higher. If it's like Google, Facebook, like VSLs, like, you know, like video sales letters, etc., like, it's going to be at a lower rate, right? Why? Primarily because of budget. Once you like eliminate the budget side, generally people are going to qualify more often than not, but not all the time. The other thing I would say is like price dependent. So like, look, if any agency has like a 2 to 3K product, your sales qualified definition is way broader than somebody charging, you know, 10 or 20K a month. It's just obvious because of budgetary constraint.
It's interesting because like since we pushed our pricing up to like 14K for like 2 videos, essentially like 7K a video, people have been like coming in a lot more like, can I actually just like get started with one video at a lower price point? It's an interesting problem because we never really had it before we like raised prices. So would you have any like advice on like how to think about that problem where like people, again, I'm throwing this all at you on the spot here, but any advice for that?
There's 2 fundamental challenges, right? It's like this could be a sales challenge in terms of how it's packaged. So like you're not necessarily getting a objection. Like this is not like a straight up objection, but how I think about sales, and by the way, I'm not that good of a salesperson. So but I still consider what you just said an objection, right? Because it's not necessarily they don't want to buy, they just don't want to buy what you're telling them to buy, which is effectively an objection. The problem is that the question comes up in the first place. So how I would approach it is actually like maybe overly simplistic and maybe not in the scope of what you're asking, but how I would solve it is, hey, we sell a package of 2. The reason is because like B-roll, synergies, like all of these synergies that like, it's like we're able to take these elements. So if you want 2, it's 14. And like, then it would be like, I would straight up give people the option to do 1. It's just that like 1 is like 11 or like 10 or whatever, right? Because it's like, hey, like getting the editor to edit 2 videos, it's faster than editing 1. So they need to understand that. And so like either A, show them the price for 1 from the get-go and have like a pricing matrix of like, here's our pricing matrix, number 1, or number 2, it's like, you need to talk them through your process, which is like your unique process and how you're able to render the value in the way that you're able to render it. So like the question is never asked. To me, like any kind of sales objection is like, what are we doing wrong that the question is asked in the first place? Like that's where my brain goes.
That's what I was working through last night. Cause like when I'm packaging these together, I was like, okay, obviously like I'm not conveying the value here, like somehow. Like I'm looking inward before I'm looking outward on that.
It's something that you understand that they don't understand. That's why the question is occurring.
That is super helpful. I want to ask, of course, I'm going to get a lot of advice out of you today, Nick. So how should we think about scaling? So we did about 348 last year in 2025. It was about 128% increase from our first year in operation in 2024.
First of all, when you're below $5 million in revenue, never look at percentages. They make you feel good, but they're not real.
I also know that, but it does make me feel good. So I'm going to say it. So how would you think about, getting an additional 700K in revenue this year with like go to market, either customer retention? I know you're really big on that, referrals.
The first question I would ask you based off your current system, because you're closing at such a high rate, is like, well, how much is the rebuy rate? And or is there some sort of like product or service that you're tacking on that creates monthly recurring revenue in any way, shape, or form? Right? Because like, here's the thing, like, look, I don't know the details of your business in depth, but if every single client comes in, buys something, and then leaves, if you're trying to create a $1 million agency, that means that you need to sell $1 million. And if you like per year, and then if you want a $2 million agency, you have to sell $2 million per year. But if you have a business that, for example, is fully monthly recurring, then it's a question about like client retention. And so if you sell $1 million this year and you have a 3-year retention, next year you're going to sell $1 million again. Now you're going to be at 2. And then next year you're going to be at 3. Right? Like that's how this works. So like, what's the monthly recurring revenue component that you currently have going on, and what percentage of the business is that?
It's all retainers, basically. Like you'll buy like a package of like 6 videos, 4 videos, like 2 videos essentially. So there really is no like monthly recurring. It's all
like per month, per what?
So basically, like a 2-video package will expire within like 4 months. A 4-video package will expire within like 8 months. And then a 6-video package will expire like within a year. So the reoccurring, like, honestly isn't great. I know it's a challenge like of our business.
It's not recurring. It's all you've done is like put term limits on a project basis.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not reoccurring.
I agree with that 100%. Like, I don't think it's reoccurring at all. So like, is our biggest challenge like that we don't have reoccurring?
You need to figure out the recurring element and put it into place, or you need to figure out how to like absolutely make it rain leads.
Okay, fair.
It's like, look, I'm not telling you that going project is not in the cards. I have seen agencies doing like $5-6 million a year on a project basis only, but they are like sales and marketing machines. And the first question I ask them, I'm like, why? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, and they're like, well, it's work. It's not broken and we're making good money, but we want to grow and like we can't grow more, and like we've thrown like everything at like sales and marketing, and like we've stalled now. So now we're doing monthly recurring revenue. I'm like, you should have done this like 80% ago when you were at like $1 million.
I was having this conversation with the person before that I told you that recommended the E-Myth. He was telling me yesterday about like a flooring company where they're like, well, they're a flooring company, but like really they're a sales and marketing company that like just happens to do flooring. They're just kick ass at sales and marketing. That's why they do like $1 billion revenue. I was like, oh, that's kind of like my agency. So yeah, that's, I think our problem is like, we need to rain leads, as you basically said, to reach like $1 million revenue. There's really no other way if we don't have like a recurring model there.
And to be frank, like, I mean, the question is, do you want to be a sales and marketing organization, or do you want to be a product? Like, do you want to be excellent at the product you deliver? And by the way, this is a strategic decision.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
To me, like, look, like I have a client that has sub 1% churn monthly, like sub 1% monthly revenue.
That's insane.
Churn, which is insane. Okay. In fact, their actual numbers are 0.65% per month.
Oh my gosh, numbers. That's crazy.
For all of 2025. And the reason that this client approached me in late 2024, like I think it was like August or so, 2024. They're like, Nick, you talk a lot about client retention. We think we have a client churn problem. I looked and it was like 1.5% monthly churn. And I'm like, dude, like best practice is below 2%. Like you're crushing. And the guy's like, can you help cut it down further? I'm like, all right, like let's go through your systems. I'm like, I can improve it, but like, man, like no promises. Sure enough, like within, 3 months, we got the churn down to like, I think it was Q1.1%.
Oh, wow.
For Q1. Q2 it went up, and it was like it basically averaged out to 0.65 on the year, but like totally abnormal. My point is this: it's like, how many deals that they really need to close to grow? when you're losing that little revenue, right? And the answer is not a lot, right? Because what we're really saying is that they lost 8%, like, because 0.65 times 12, they lost less than 8% of their total revenue in the year. By the way, that's just like straight up looking at churn without considering upsells and referrals. If we consider upsells and referrals, which in my world I do, they didn't, but like, because they're like that strict about it, I was like, guys, you have negative churn, because just the referrals and upsells accounted for more than that. And then on top of that, they did sales and marketing, but they were doing sales and marketing at such a low level where it was like 3% of their budget. And guess what? Like, other agencies are spending 8 to 12%. I know agencies spending 12 to 16, or even like sometimes 20% plus on sales and marketing. Guess what happens when you're spending like 2 to 3% and you're still growing? Like, that delta between like 20 and like 3, it's all going to the bottom line. And it was, right? And so they're insanely profitable, losing no clients. And the guy was like, oh, well, you know, I sleep better at night knowing that our churn is lower. I'm like, dude, you're telling me that 1.5% a month was keeping you up at night? Like, and I'm like, I've worked with people doing like 15 to 20% monthly churn, right? Like, that should keep you up at night. And like, the reason I tell this story is because, to me, and like, this is not wrong, by the way, if other people operate this way, to me, being a sales and marketing organization and putting a lot of the focus there means that you're not obsessed with like client delivery and client retention. And to me, knowing that the average client is going to stay with me for like 3+ years helps me sleep at night. Here's the thing, like, sales and marketing, and especially in the agency space, is streaky, right? Meaning, like, you figure out how to generate leads from like Google, for example, and you go all in on that, and then Google changes the algorithm. It's like, bang, it's not working anymore. Or like, you figure out like this optimal VSL on, you know, Meta, and like, you get a bunch of leads, and then all of a sudden Meta changes its algorithm. They launch Andromeda, and like, some of your ads work and they slowly start to taper off and not work, and you need to figure out something else. And it's like, if you're a sales and marketing organization, because of the world that we live in today, unless you're generating your leads through like attending events, in-person Rolodex, and like calling people, or like outbound or outbound email, which is like, people can do it and they can figure it out. But again, all of these things are so subject to these algorithms that we have no control over. You're like one algorithm change away from your sales and marketing part of your organization completely going down in flames. And like, I can't sleep at night that way.
It's so funny because we were sending, how we get like our leads is like basically sending like offer emails every day. Like, it's probably attributed to like over 80% of our revenue in 2025. But we were sending them through HubSpot originally. August comes along, boom, open rates drop from 30% to legit like 5%. And it's like, we were scrambling to like get something. We got like a new system up, but it took like a month to like get it like back and running. Like, that's true to like what.
Yeah, and how did that feel?
Yeah, it sucked.
Imagine if every single one of your clients, it's like, you knew that every single one of your clients is going to last 3 years. How do you feel about your business now? It's like, I know what business I want to run. And like, to be honest, if it comes at the sacrifice of the sales and marketing engine, it's like, so be it. Because here's the thing, like people that open an agency, they can get like 10 to 20 closes a year. Even if it's just like word of mouth networking, you can get 10 to 20 closes a year. You just got to put in the elbow grease, right? So it's like, okay, well, what if every single client, like, look, quick math, every single client's $5K, you close 20 of them, that's $100K a month. You're now a $1.2 million agency.
It's insane.
That lasts,
it's literally crazy.
Every client lasts for an average of 3 years. That's like, you're at $3 million. It's like, that's the math. It's not that hard. And so like, this is my entire thesis. And by the way, like, how I came about this was that in my own agency, at one point, I did the math and we were averaging 15% churn.
Oh gosh.
I had like account managers. So like, this is the thing. People are like, oh, I know my churn rate. And I'm like, do you know your churn rate by account manager? Do you know your churn rate by sales rep? Why? When I was averaging 15% churn, I had one account manager that was doing sub 1.5% churn. I think it was like 1.2, 1.3% churn. That's what she was doing. And she had the lowest churn out of everybody. The person in second place had something like 3 or 4% churn. And then I had somebody at 8. Then I had somebody else at like 12. And then I had another person at like 22.
Oh gosh.
22% churn. Like, this person was like evaporating like clients in like real time, like as soon as they touched their hand, right? And so what did I do? It's like, I reverse engineered what the person doing like 1.5 was doing, right? Got all their stuff. The person that was doing like 3 to 4, I went in there too, just to see if there was anything good going on. And then I basically like said like, okay, now account managers are judged on churn, your specific churn number, not the company churn number, like your book of business churn. And like, this is how we're going to go about it. And sure enough, like some people that had really high churn left the business because they knew that the writing was on the wall and they didn't want to make the change. And sure enough, fast forward to like a few months later, our churn was basically like sub 2.5% across the board.
Yeah. Well, so how did you do that? Like, what were some of the factors? I mean, for people that are under 2%, like,
there's really only like 2 macro factors, and then there's probably like 3 sub factors in each. So the 2 macro factors, high level, are people management and accountability. And I'm going to get like deeper because like that's not helpful. And the second one is like basically like the high level client retention systems. Okay. So on the people management systems, I swear by objective metric KPIs. So like, what are the top objectives by role? What are the metrics that measure the success of that objective? And what are the KPIs that measure the likelihood of success of the metric? So for everybody out there, like, look, people use KPIs and metrics interchangeably as names, but that is not correct. Okay. A metric is something that is closely related to money that happened in the rear view mirror. So it's already behind you. It happened. It's immovable. A KPI, if you spell out the actual acronym, is key performance indicator. It's an indicator of performance. It is not actual performance. A metric is actual performance. So the role of the KPI is to show you what is the likelihood that the metric coming up is going to be favorable, right? So let me break this down into like an actual example. For my account managers, I had objective number 1 be client retention. Okay, so that's the objective. How do we measure that objective? What is our metric? Okay, we're going to measure this by client churn, revenue-based by account manager. That's the metric. What is the KPI? Like, what is the thing that can signal to us that that metric is going to be good or bad? Net promoter score, right? Like basically it's like, right, like net promoter score is like scale of 1 to 10. How happy are you with us? 9 or 10, they're super happy. 7 and 8s are considered neutrals in an NPS score. And 6s and belows are like, they're going to leave. So now, if somebody gives you a 9 or a 10, you have a reasonable chance of retaining these people for the long run, meaning like the churn metric is like generally safe. But if a whole bunch of people start scoring you 5s and 6s, you're like, the metric is about to get bad. And you know that before it actually happens. So you basically, line up 3-4 of these objectives per role. And then you have a metric-based dashboard and a KPI-based dashboard. Why? The metric-based dashboard is actual performance. You judge people's performance on the metrics. The KPIs, you do not judge people on KPI because it's not actual performance. It's indicators of performance, and it's basically a future-facing dashboard. So you need to divide dashboards between past-facing, what actually happened, versus future-facing, what's about to happen. And unsurprisingly, when you have both, it's almost impossible to fail because if you can predict the future, like how hard is it to manage against it if you know what's coming your way?
Yeah, it's I think like the metrics is the biggest thing. I feel like that's where potentially, correct me if I'm wrong, where a lot of agencies go wrong, especially when it's getting started, is like knowing
they measure the wrong. It's not that they're not measuring things, it's that they measure the wrong thing.
I'm going to kind of put you in a tight little bundle here. If they could only measure like 2 metrics to start out, is it churn? What are like the 2 metrics you must know for your first 500K?
Okay, I'm going to go totally off the rails here and tell you, like, as an agency owner, like if it's your like metric, this isn't even like necessarily a metric, but it's like cash. Like, look at your bank account every day. Like, that's the number one thing you need to manage. Like, learn the patterns of it. How does it fluctuate like week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter? You need to learn how this thing like moves because it moves differently for every business. And you need to be like in tune with that, number one. But to answer, I think what the true spirit of the question is, client retention, definitely number one. And I'm not going to give you 2. I'm going to give you like what I call the golden triangle of like objectives. And this is primarily for billable people and or people that are client facing. Client retention, objective number 1. Objective number 2 is client results. Objective number 3 is productivity. Those are the top 3. Why? If you have good client retention and you have good client results and you have good productivity, impossible to lose money, very scalable organization because you're retaining people for a long time. If you have great client retention and great client results, but you have bad productivity, you can maybe retain revenue for a long time, but maybe you're not making any money. If you have good client retention for now, bad client results, good productivity, you're profitable, But even though your client retention looks good now, because the client results aren't that good, they're going to leave you. Your retention's about to look bad, right? And if you have like good client results and good productivity, you're profitable and you're getting client good results, but they don't know it. And therefore your client retention's bad. Because it's like, if your client results are good and productivity is good and the client's like leaving you, it's like, why if the results are good? It's because you haven't been able to figure out how to communicate the value of what we offer. And by the way, this is why it's measured separately from client results in my mind, because people are like, oh, aren't client results retention? It's like, no, it's not. I've seen so many agencies that provide well above market results for their clients, and clients leave them because the clients don't understand the value that they're getting, because the mechanisms aren't in place to actually show people. And that actually leads me to that second macro item, which is like client retention systems, right? Client retention systems isn't just like get results. Like client retention systems is like outside of the product. It's like, how do you deliver this? How do you communicate to people? And like, there's 3 big items under client retention systems. To me, it's about having a very equal balance of client expectation setting, client experience, and education for the client. Those 3 things will predict how long clients stay with you. And generally, agencies are bad at like 2 of the 3.
Yeah, I like it. There's a lot to take away from this. This conversation is fascinating for me in the sense of like, like sometimes I think I know like what I'm doing, but then I have like a conversation like this. And it's like, well, I actually have a boatload to learn. So I want to thank you for that, Nick. I want to jump to our Fan Blitz questions here. And these are questions submitted from our community. Listeners, if you want to join our world-class entrepreneurs, go email us at podcast@upflip.com and get your questions submitted there. But ready for our last 5 here, Nick?
Yep.
What's the fastest mistake you see new agency owners make that kills momentum early?
Hiring too late and hiring too early. Hit the Goldilocks zone.
If you had to cut an agency down to just 2 priorities on the road to 1 million, what would it be?
Stick to one offer. If you can sell it 5 times, you can sell it 100 times. Don't fiddle around with the offer, number 1. Number 2, push the price up as much as possible before you hire.
What's one piece of common agency advice you completely disagree with?
Sales fixes everything. It just scales problems.
I like that. That's a good one. What's a decision you see founders delay way too long that costs them their first million?
Spending real money on a second in command. So like if they're the primary founder, spending like good money on like a second in command that can and the second in command in like for your first hire can take a lot of different forms. It could be your head of accounts, your head of delivery. They should not be the head of marketing nor the head of sales. There's a huge premium on founder. Like founder-led sales close at a much higher rate. So never outsource sales or marketing first. It's either it's an account director role, or it's generally like the service role. And then after you have one of those 2 taken care of, the second person can either be the opposite or an operations role.
Last one for you. If you're starting an agency tomorrow, what's the first thing you do in the first 30 days?
I'd figure out my offer. I would pick an offer that has a naturally leaning higher lifetime value. Not all offers have naturally occurring higher lifetime values. I would probably start some sort of like content agency, because content people are willing to wait for results.
Nick, this was amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. It sounds like, oh my gosh, I need to learn more about Nick. Check out his website. Where can they connect with you and do so at?
agencyacquisitions.io, or you can find me at Nick Avaria on LinkedIn. And I'll also be leaving behind a free training that I give people. It's 5 hours on how to delegate. Basically, it's like how to get yourself out of the day-to-day of your business, and so you can work on your business and focus on scaling it rather than putting out fires all day long. So I'll leave that link behind as well.
Everyone, that was an amazing episode with Nick. 3 quick takeaways for you. Number 1, push price as much as possible early on. That's how you're going to be able to hire for your first individual. Number 2, reoccurring revenue is everything when you're building an agency. He gave me that feedback that I need to change to reoccurring. I absolutely love that feedback. And then number 3, cash and client retention. Those are 2 very important metrics you need to know when you're just getting started. What is your cash flow? What is also your client retention? If you guys are enjoying this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast, and give us some feedback at Ryan@upflip.com. Looking forward to seeing you all next Monday. Nick, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.